Happy International Women's Day everyone, and welcome back to a new video. I know it's been a little while since my last video. I'm very sorry. It's been quite a hectic couple of weeks. I'm starting on my final project for university at the moment, so everything's just really chaotic, and I'm doing an EP, so I need to get everything recorded, and I haven't really had time to stop and think about YouTube, and yeah, so sorry about that. I'm recording this quite late, so I've got my ring light on today. Yeah, I hope it doesn't look too tacky. Third, excuse the piles of clothes, it's laundry day tomorrow, so yeah, apologies. Today I thought, since today is, as I mentioned at the beginning, International Women's Day, I thought I would make a list of my personal favourite women in rock and metal. This is just my opinion. Your list might be different to mine, and that's okay, because we need some variety in this world, and it's always good to get new recommendations as well. I am going to shuffle these around because I've got about 15 of these, so I'm gonna try and start the video now because it's gonna take a while. I'm probably not gonna go into too much depth about each person just because this video will be really long otherwise. Let's do our album of the day, and today's is Underneath by Code Orange. This will actually come up later, so I will talk about it then, but that is the album of the day. Highly recommend that. So let's begin. So to keep this video quite short, I am going to be structuring each person in this way. I'm going to say who they are, if they play in a band or if they're a solo artist, and an album that I would recommend to you guys. I'm not going to go in too much depth purely because this video would be really long otherwise. Yeah, and also a lot of these I've already spoken about in past videos. If you haven't already checked, by the way, I've done a video already of my top 10 favourite female vocalists. Go check that out if you like. There aren't just vocalists in this list as well. There is a playlist in the description of a song from each of the albums that I've talked about today, so you can get a little taster for each of these women singing, and if you like it, you can check out more. So starting off strong with Hassam of Renaissance. If you aren't familiar with this group, I highly recommend them for those who love progressive rock. I'm sure a lot of people on this channel already know who they are because I've spoken about them before, and I actually found out about them through the channel, so thank you to those many years ago for recommending me this group. I would recommend the album Ashes Are Burning. I'll put a picture of the album cover there so you can find it easily. I love this album. I actually revisited it fairly recently and realised how great of an album it was. Annie's performance on this record is insane. Her vocal range is impeccable, and everything about this record is just really nice. It's a really nice wind down one for me. I just put it on randomly one day and I just loved it ever since. So that is Hassam of Renaissance. It's an amazing vocalist, just like the rest of the people on this list, but starting off strong with a progressive rock singer. Next up is probably my favourite vocalist at the moment, amongst others, but she's really inspired me at the moment to create my own music, and that is Courtney La Plant. Courtney La Plant. I don't know why, but her name's such a tongue twister. Courtney La Plant of Spiritbox. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll already know that I'm a massive Spiritbox fan. I'm actually wearing my Spiritbox t-shirt today, my little undershirt. I don't know what it is, but I just absolutely love this band. I love her voice. It was one that really had to grow on me, though, I cannot lie, but I think it really fits with the vibe of the music and what she's singing. It just makes her voice is so good. I really like it, and something that I've noticed, because I've been covering a Spiritbox song at the moment, I'm in the process of that, is that our ranges are very similar. So that's always a pro for me, because it's like, maybe I can actually try and sing. And her screams are just insane, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Spiritbox this year actually at Gunsbury Park, so should be good. And an album I'd recommend from Spiritbox is probably their latest EP, The Fear of Fear. I think that album sums up what Spiritbox is and what they're about. It's a conceptual piece, and there's intense metal bits, and there's some really nice kind of electronic and really nice melodies as well. There's a really nice balance of singing and screaming, and she's amazing at both. Big fan of this group, and I think you guys should check them out too. Going back to the 70s once again, but less on the proggy side, we are going with Stevie Nicks of Fleetwood Mac. Stevie Nicks was one of my first inspirations when it came to singing. I've always loved Fleetwood Mac ever since I was a young young child. I love her solo work as well. If I was to pick an album where her vocals really shine, I would probably choose the safe option of Rumours by Fleetwood Mac. That's an album that maybe people are going to be like, oh, that's a bit basic, but her vocals on that album and her songwriting and everything is just perfect. I absolutely adore that album, and she's a great vocalist and a really just a great stage presence. I've seen a few videos of Fleetwood Mac and just herself playing live, and she brings the energy, and yeah, she's amazing. I have loved Stevie Nicks and admired her for a very long time. And talking of it, like I did with the Spirit Box one, I've actually covered The Chain. Our band did a cover a while ago, and I was on bass and singing, which was really hard because I had to focus on doing like the louder singing at the end and also doing the iconic bass line, but it was really fun, and yeah. This one is more of a newer edition. I got into this band last year, or like really early at the beginning of 2024, but more December time. And I listened to one of their records and I absolutely fell in love with the vocalist and just the whole band as a whole. And I am talking about Emma Buster of Dying Wish, who are a metalcore band that are fairly new, I think. And I actually found out about this band through Instagram or somewhere, I don't remember, but I found out about them in a really weird way. And I listened to their album Symptoms of Survival, which I'm going to use as the recommendation for this one, and I just adored it. Again, similarly with Spirit Box, she sings clean and she screams, and her screaming is insane. It's scared me at first because I was like, I've never heard screams like this before. Like it's a bit terrifying. It's demony in the best possible way, of course. And her clean singing is absolutely stunning as well. One of my favourite songs at the moment is Lost in the Fall, which is towards the end of that album. I think it is actually the last track on the album. But I re-listened to this album the other day and it's just an amazing modern day metal album. So I highly recommend that if you're into that stuff. And yeah, I actually got the poster there from the album when I bought it. And I'm also seeing them. I'm seeing them this month actually in London. Doing a complete 360 from the last one, Agnetha and Annie Fried of ABBA. I have loved ABBA. I think everyone, I will say this till I die, everyone in the world loves ABBA. And if they don't, they just don't realise that they do yet. And they are just so much more than their hits, in my opinion. I think, you know, everyone casually knows the hits, but their albums are just amazing. Like, you'll find some really nice hidden gems. I found some really interesting, like, proggy bits in the early ABBA records, and they're really cool. But we're talking about vocalists today. These two lovely ladies have some of the best harmonies I've ever heard in music, and I'm really hyping this up at the moment as well because I recently went to ABBA Voyage and that was also really good. That was good fun. I've been twice now. But my point was, even on their latest record, Voyage, which isn't my recommendation, their voices still hold up to this day. They are an amazing duo, and yeah, ABBA are just a fantastic group, and we all know that. So the album I'm going to pick for them is Arrival. I think I picked this one last time, but I think this best showcases a bunch of different genres that they encapsulate into that album. There's rocky bits, there's more mellow bits, and it's just really nice. And if you don't like ABBA, then you're lying. Going back to the more proggy side, once again, Kate Bush, who isn't in a band, I was about to say Kate Bush but Kate Bush, again, one of my earliest influences to get up and start singing and also to start writing lyrics, actually. I listened to her songs and I think these lyrics are just really good, you know, just full of soul and full of, you know, emotion, and it's executed in such an interesting way. She's probably one of the most interesting singers because there isn't anyone like her and there never will be, just like with all the other ladies on this list. But with Kate Bush, she has such an interesting range and an interesting way of presenting herself and her voice, and it's something that I've always admired about her. It's been really hard to actually try and cover because, you know, think about a song, I know it's a bit basic, but like Wuthering Heights, that the range, like she's going very high up, and she's just a really good singer, you know, and she's a really great songwriter. And yeah, so the album I'd probably say for Kate Bush for me is The Kick Inside, which has got Wuthering Heights on it. But that was the first album I ever listened to of hers, and it's probably still my favourite of hers. So yeah, definitely check that one out if you haven't already. I know a lot of people on this channel already love and admire Kate Bush, but if you are one of those people that hasn't actually listened to her music, or maybe you know the hits, then definitely listen to this one. This is, again, another modern pick, and again, another solo singer. Where's Blood? I had the absolute pleasure of seeing her live last year in Brighton, and that just solidified for me, that gig, that she is one of the best singers of our current time, and I think she's super underrated. Like, I don't really hear that many people talking about Where's Blood, and I don't really hear many people who even know of her, but her voice is insane. It's almost like a modern day Karen Carpenter, you know, being able to hit those lows and still pull it off really well, and it's almost like, it's like liquid gold, you know? It's the way she sings, and I don't know how to describe it because I'm really bad at describing like singing terms, because I've only really just started learning how to sing again. The way it flows, and you know, it's just perfect. It's just very, very good vocalist. Highly recommend her album Titanic Rising. That is the one that got me hooked on her music. Particularly the song Movies. I remember when I found that song, I was in the car with my dad and it just came on the radio and we were just like, what is that? Like, that's insane. And I think I went upstairs after that and listened to the entire album. So really recommend. It's just a really nice voice. It's very comforting and nice on the ears, and the music in the back that goes with it is insanely good as well. Interesting pick, this one. This woman, she's a guitarist and singer, and that is Reba Myers of Code Orange. Code Orange are a band I've only recently got into, but her voice is insanely good. She's got that energy, she brings the energy, and she's an insanely good guitarist. I mean, I've seen a couple of live performances, and Code Orange have a very interesting way of presenting themselves and the way they go about music. It's almost like a throwback to the 90s, of that like industrial era, things like Nine Inch Nails. Her voice just suits that so well, and again, it's one that's within my range as well, but it's got so much power, and her songwriting is really, really good as well. My pick for this album was actually the album of the day. I didn't even clock that until after I started filming. I was like, wait. But Underneath by Code Orange, I will highly recommend. She sings a few of the songs on that album, and they are probably my favourite songs from the album. Another one that's hard to kind of decipher, similarly to Kate Bush, is Björk. Going to Iceland and going to the Icelandic Punk Museum, if you have been to Iceland, you'll know what I'm talking about, and seeing her beginnings in the Sugar Cubes and moving into her solo work is insane. I think Björk is such a talented artist, not only for, you know, the way she presents herself, but her range is actually insanely good. For example, the song Bachelorette, I think I mentioned this in my favourite female vocalist video. She goes powerful on that song, and it goes up high. That song kind of reminds me of a Bond theme, if you know what I mean, if you know the song. But I think her range is kind of swept under the rug. People don't really talk about. They kind of talk about the way that she enunciates her words and the way she kind of coolly sings, rather than like her actual range and how dynamic she is as an artist. So for me personally, the album I would pick for Björk is Post. Either that or Homogenic. I'm kind of flicking between those two albums at the moment by her, and I actually just can't pick one. So I recommend these two albums. So we've got a full band now that we're talking about, and they are one of my favourite bands within the nu metal genre. I got really into nu metal about middle of last year when I started listening to Korn. Love Korn, seeing them this year, really excited. But we're talking about women today. I stumbled upon this band called Kitty, and I'd heard the name before. Obviously, as someone who's listened to metal for a long time, you just know names of groups, and they were one that I knew about but didn't really know anything about. I checked out the album Spit, which I'm going to recommend to you all now, and that album is powerful. I mean, if you really like pay attention to the lyrics, insane. Like, screaming, fantastic. singing fantastic, playing fantastic. Everything about this album is just like the perfect new metal album, like the perfect metal album of that era of like the 2000s. It's got a lot of energy, and they released a new song recently actually, and I thought it was really good song. Again, another one that kind of inspired me to write about, you know, my experiences, you know, being a woman, and, you know, putting power into my music, as well as writing catchy riffs and bass lines for me, because I'm a bass player. But they are probably one of my biggest inspirations at the moment in terms of like full bands. So if you haven't checked out Kitty, I really highly recommend them. Going back to progressive rock again, this woman's probably my favourite progressive rock vocalist because of, I guess, how kind of underrated she is as a singer. I mean, we all know that Curved Air as a group have had and still have some very, very talented musicians, and I think we all forget that Sonia Christina is probably one of the best vocalists out there, in my opinion. And maybe she doesn't have the insane range and the chest power, but her songwriting and the way she sings, it's so powerful yet kind of timid. I don't know how to describe, but I think a song that comes to mind when I am talking about Curved Air and her vocal abilities is Metamorphosis, which is a 10-minute epic with multiple different sections, and there's a middle section where the song goes kind of quiet and it is just piano, and she's singing over the piano and she's using a head voice, and it just sounds really, really, really good. I don't really know how to describe it. I'm so bad at like describing music sometimes. It had an effect on me when I first listened to it, and it still does. I absolutely love that song. I re-listened to that album recently. So actually, in terms of albums, I would probably pick that one, which is Aircut. That album is absolutely fantastic. Her vocals really shine on this record, in my opinion. So I found this band and, well, this vocalist when I went to Bloodstock last year. So I guess it's another newer one. One of my friends really wanted to go and see this group, so we went along, and man, I was just not disappointed. First of all, the pit was insane. Like, it was, I don't usually go in mosh pits, but I was like on the side and I was just watching like the chaos. And that band is Employed to Serve, one of my favourite bands probably at the moment. I'm really, really into their stuff. And their vocalist, Justine Jones. What I find really insane actually is they're kind of local to where I'm from. Her voice is insane. Her, just like the way she screams is just, it's again, similarly with Emma Boster of Dying Witch, it like kind of terrified me at first because I was like, it's like almost like banshee screaming, like, but in the kind of way that I love, because I love metal, obviously. It terrified me, but at the same time, it works so well with the kind of like progressive metal, I don't know why I said it like that, the progressive metal vibe of their music, as well as it being like really heavy. My ring light is like wobbly as hell, it's really annoying. But her screaming, her technique is flawless. I love it so much. So I really want to see them again. You know, I started listening to like some of their albums. And the one I'd recommend the most, I think this is the name of it, again, if I'm wrong, Eternal Forward Motion, which the title track was the one that I found through that gig, and I listened to it non-stop for like ages. I loved it so much. Had the energy, she brought the energy, she kicked butt at that gig. It was just amazing, absolutely phenomenal gig. Probably my biggest hero when it comes to singing is Alanis Morissette, because again, her range is insane. You know, I think we all know that. I know everyone knows Ironic, everyone knows that song, but that whole album, Jagged Little Pill, which I'm going to give to you as a recommendation, is powerful as hell. Like, it covers so many topics. I think I read somewhere like so many people were afraid to write and sing about what she wrote about in that album. And I think that's what adds a lot of power to her as a vocalist. And seeing it live was just even more insane, I think. Her voice is just so stunning. Again, it's powerful. It reaches high, like the range is insane. And, you know, the lyrical content, what she's saying is, you know, it struck a nerve for me personally, and you can tell she cares about what she's singing. You know, she's really enunciating those lyrics. She's really she's screaming to the world, this is me, I'm here, listen to what I have to say. And I love vocalists that are like that. I think all of the people on this list have that. We're on our second to last vocalist for the list, And I've seen a lot of these women performing live, so it kind of gives a good indicator of how good they are as a vocalist, not just in the studio, but actually being able to perform live. And I heard a lot of things about Amy Lee and how Evanescence live aren't that great. All of you are wrong, by the way. Like, I saw them at Download, and she gave that performance everything. Like, it was insanely good. Like, she hit every note. Didn't doubt her for a second. She's an incredibly talented singer. I think everyone just kind of forgets that because, you know, they'll hear, wake me up inside, you know, and they'll think, oh, that's just, you know, this is the emo song, you know, whatever. That whole album, Fallen, is my recommendation. Her vocal performance is just insane, but she's probably one of my inspirations as well at the moment because the way she projects, you know, again, similarly with Alanis Morissette, she cares about what she's singing and you can hear it and you can hear the power and you can hear, you know, I love how her vocals can go from really kind of powerful but quiet with songs like My Immortal, you know, then songs like Going Under where it's a bit more intense, and yeah, so really, really great vocalist. I think underrated in my opinion. We have reached our final person of the video. I don't know how many of you guys are still here, but if you're here, I'm happy you stayed. Again, saw this group live, seeing them live again at the end of the year. I found out about this group through a friend of mine, and I'm very happy that he showed me this group because I love them now. And I'm talking about Tatiana Schmeiluk, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, of Ginger. Now, I know a lot of you people out there are also Ginger fans, which is very good. I think that a lot of the progressive rock and progressive metal community will really enjoy Ginger. They have a lot of very interesting ideas and the way they approach music. It's proggy and then it's really chuggy and heavy, and then it kind of like flips back and forth, which is basically my favorite genre, you know, progressive metal. That's like where I sit. And her vocals are just insanely good. King of Everything is probably my favorite album of theirs. That intro song, even just the beginning track is powerful, and she you know, she kicks butt live as well. I mean, I like them enough to go and see them again this year. Newer band to me again, but I'm so happy that I gave them a listen because her vocals are so insanely good, and so are her screams. They are just low as well. Like, she's probably one of my biggest inspirations for the lower screaming because that's really hard to do for me. She makes all of the people on this list who scream, they always make it sound so easy, and that's how you know they're a good singer. If what they're doing seems really easy, it's not, and they're doing it really well. But yeah, one of my favorite current vocalists. That wraps up our video for today. Let me know who your favorite women in music are and if I've missed anyone out. A couple of things before I love and leave you all. There is a playlist in the description of a song from each of the albums that I've talked about today, so you can get a little taster for each of these women singing, and if you like it, you can check out more. I have a Discord server now, so join it if you want updates on the channel. You get them first. You get them before I'm posting videos. You get to find out what video I'm posting before I post it. So if you want to know that, you know, join it. It's free. And you can even suggest content for me. That'd be great. Show me your favourite albums. Tell me your favourite albums. Give me recommendations. That's basically what that server is. It's really chill out and relaxed. We just talk about music and vinyl and etc, etc. So if you have some time, just join it. As I said, it's completely free. It's good fun. We have good chats. And it's easier to talk to me that way because YouTube comments are just not it for me. I just can't. I don't like the YouTube comment system. It's really annoying. So if you want to get through to me and have a little chat, get to the server. All my social medias are in the description as well, so you can follow my Instagram, my X, still not used to calling it that, for other updates, mainly updates on my life and stuff, what I'm listening to. Talking of which, you can follow my Spotify, see what I'm getting up to. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.